everyone, it's Dave and Teddy here wishing you Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's, Happy Holidays, whatever you celebrate, or just happy a few days off work. I like to think I'm running the show here at Dave G Industries, but I think we all know who's picking up whose poop in this relationship, so yeah, Teddy's the one in charge. Okay, let's let him go back. I can't believe how fast 2024 has gone by, and today we're continuing the end of the year coverage with a look back at how some of our favorite stocks have done, as well as my overall portfolio and the channel itself, and just talk about 2024, lessons learned, how we did, and look towards 2025. I encourage everyone to do likewise with their own portfolio. I think it's important to take stock every year, think about what worked, what didn't, and what you can learn from it. Shout out to everyone who was watching back when that was my main intro. I had a comment recently of someone saying that they missed the old one, so seeing as how we're looking back this video, I figured I would put the old intro up as well for a bit of a throwback. Before we dive into that, I hope you will consider subscribing if you haven't already to the channel, and if you are already a subscriber, thank you so much for continuing to subscribe, and those likes and comments always help out as well with the algorithm. Okay, with that out of the way, let's dive into the 2024 portfolio wrap-up. Obviously, the biggest story of the year for my portfolio has been Rocket Lab, and if you are a subscriber to the channel, I assume it has been similar for you. Looking at the performance of the stock, it's been absolutely amazing, going from below $5 per share all the way up now to about $27.15, and my cost basis here, as you can see on the chart, is $4.36 per share for 15,190 shares. I also did have some options trades in there that allowed me to boost my returns, but I'm no longer holding those, so no longer part of the portfolio. Those are now just in cash. Also, a very big deal for the portfolio this year, and a big reason why it performed so well, was Tesla. I don't talk about it as much, but I do hold 807 shares of Tesla right now. Cost basis is not quite accurate because I switched brokers, and this is just what it was when I came to Interactive Brokers. But anyway, showing as 193, and the stock price is now 433, so obviously still doing very well on Tesla. It should actually be a bit of a lower cost basis even. Yeah, another reason the portfolio did so well this year. Tesla, very happy with both those companies. Strong conviction in both those names. Held them both through what I consider to be some tough years, and nice to be rewarded for that. I'm sure you feel the same if you are an investor in either of those companies. A few honorable mentions now of other companies in my portfolio that did do well and made an impact. We have Intuitive Machines, small position, but it's gone from $4.96, which is my cost basis, to $18.50, so obviously done extremely well for me, that small position. NVIDIA, another one I don't talk about a lot, but I do think it's important to have exposure to AI, and NVIDIA is one great way to play that. I bought in around $55 per share, and we now are sitting at about $136 per share. Redwire as well, another space company I do like, likewise with Intuitive Machines, small position, but I do have over a double on Redwire this year, so very happy to see that. And of course, just good old index funds. I do always advocate for individual investors to hold at least some index funds in case we're wrong about a name, wrong about a company. We don't get completely destroyed, and provides a little bit of a stabilizing factor to the portfolio. So I do hold some index funds as well, and obviously the overall markets have done just great this year. So the 1 year return, bringing all this together, has obviously been absolutely amazing. Over 100% here you can see on the left, but the number didn't actually come up. So if you look on the right, you can see that we're at almost 140% return. Absolutely amazing. Many investors will go their entire career without having 100+% return year, and especially if you're a conservative investor, you may never see it. A lot of investors who, even ones who are more, willing to accept risk, might only get 100% plus year, a handful of times in their entire lifetime. So definitely should enjoy it while we have it, and not taking it for granted, not expecting this to happen next year as well. Do let me know your return in your portfolio if you'd like down below on a percentage basis. Always like to keep the conversation going. And there's nothing wrong with being satisfied with your results and happy with how things are going. No need to get complacent, though, in the portfolio. Zooming out a little further, because I always like to put things in context of the big picture. 2-year return, actually even better. So that means the previous year to this year was also amazing. We're looking at now 400% over 2 years, which is just mind-boggling to me. Zooming out again, even further to put that into more context, 4-year return is only 240 odd percent, which is still obviously good, but just goes to show how devastating that 2022 crash was to my portfolio. And yeah, it was rough times. So, building off of that low is easier than kind of a steady state, which is what more of the pre-2022 level kind of looked like for me. So while that 400% number is amazing and I'm still overall incredibly happy with my returns, it's important to put that in context that a few years ago, we did have that big crash and it is building off of those lows. Mistakes that may have been made this year, as I always try to look back and figure out what I could have done better. And I honestly think I played a lot of things pretty well. Not trying to brag or anything here, obviously. But one thing I'm still kicking myself for is that I don't know if I'll ever come across a stock again that I have as much knowledge of and as much conviction that it is extremely undervalued as Rocket Lab in like the $4, $3 range, which it was at the earlier parts of this year. And I did buy heavy. I'm not going to say I didn't. I put about $66,000 into it, I believe, which is a lot of money for me and for most people. Obviously, I was rewarded for that, but I could have gone a little bit heavier, and I was actually looking at buying some heavy call options. I didn't do it. So I think one lesson that I can learn from 2024, looking back, is when you know a single name really well and you are incredibly confident in that name and that it's undervalued and you've done a DCF and you've done a lot of research and you're very confident in the management team and all the rest, it is okay to go extremely heavy and to buy call options if you want to. Obviously, very risky move, but if you've done that research, like I feel I have put endless hours into Rocket Lab, and it's an opportunity that I don't know if it will ever come around again being that undervalued. I'm not saying it's a sell right now, but obviously, it was a screaming buy below $4, now sitting at 27. I don't know if I'll have that opportunity again with this level of conviction in my investing career. I just don't know. So kind of do wish I went even heavier on Rocket Lab, but lessons learned, and I can't complain with the outcome, that is for sure. Also interested in hearing about any mistakes you guys may have made. Another mistake, I think, is holding on to Airbnb. It didn't really do much for me. I don't know why I really like the idea of this name. I like the business model, I suppose, but I probably should have just thrown that money into Rocket Lab as well, or even in NVIDIA or something like that. That name has been a disappointment. And as I think about mistakes, I also want to make sure that I stay humble out there, don't get too carried away. I think if you look back to that crash that I talked about back in, say, 2022-ish, when I had that big crash in the rough year for the portfolio, I didn't stay humble enough. I was buying all sorts of things that I wasn't researching as fully as I should. And you need to know what you don't know. I know I'm not the next Warren Buffett or the next whoever. I've had a great run, but it could easily go bad. I could easily make mistakes. So I'm not going to get too carried away. I'm going to stick with index funds as well as the companies that I do know the most about without buying tons of companies out there. Going to stick with my high conviction names. I'm not going to go into margin debt. I'm not going to get carried away with speculative names that don't have any revenue. And just keep in mind that you're never as rich as you feel at the top of the market, and you're never as poor as you feel at the bottom of the market. I think that's a great message to keep in mind. So while things are very high right now, perhaps in reality, unless you're selling out completely, I'm not really that rich, because at some point they will go down. disappointment. But overall, great year. Not a ton of mistakes, but some things, as always, could do better, and we should always look back on them. In terms of what's going on now in 2025 and what the outlook is, I think this quote is very meaningful. Be fearful when others are greedy. Be greedy when others are fearful. So what I'm going to say for 2025 is that others don't seem very fearful right now. You look at the interest rate environment of interest rates falling, albeit a bit slower than we expected. Stocks hitting highs, all-time highs across the board, almost massive growth. We do have some multiple expansion going on. So I do think there's already some greed out there. I'm not saying we're about to hit a crash. I think, earnings growth can continue the run in the stock market, or at least have, more of a steady kind of flat run for a little while as opposed to a crash. But I'm not seeing the fear out there, which means maybe it's not time to be like ultimate greed like it was, a couple of years ago. So keeping that in mind, and in terms of my own personal portfolio, what I can say is that I'm looking to buy a house in the near future, and I think this is lining up really well because obviously I have to sell some stocks in order to make that down payment. And I think, luckily enough, it's not a horrible time to be selling. If Rocket Lab was at $4, and I don't plan to sell a ton of Rocket Lab because I do have other companies and shares that I will unload, including some of those index funds. But just saying, if stocks were as they were 2 years ago, it would be very painful cashing them out at those levels in order to make a down payment. But now I don't mind that much. So maybe it's almost in a way forcing me to trim my positions, trim some winners, take some gains, even if that's not always my instinct. And I usually just prefer to ride the highs and the lows as long as I know that I have good companies. I'm perfectly happy to ride that roller coaster up and down as opposed to trying to time the highs. But this will force me to make some sales, and I don't think it's a horrible time for it. So luckily that is working out for me as well. Interested to hear if any of you guys are taking some of those gains. For me, it's like, what is investing about if not buying yourself and your family a home? Like, this is what the goal is all about. So shouldn't feel sad for achieving it and putting some of that money to good use for your family. In terms of the YouTube channel itself, some of you guys seem to be interested in this, so I figured I'd share this stuff as well. In 2024, we got 544,000 views, which, my first year, I think I got maybe 300 subscribers total, so obviously a big growth. Still not time to quit my day job anytime soon, though. Revenue, 4,700, and I think that's probably before taxes, so that gets cut as well. Definitely a long way to go before this is a significant income stream, but it's starting to get there, so that's nice to see. If you zoom out even further in terms of year over year, so I got 288,000 views in 2023, apparently. I got 92,000 views in pretty much 2022, although it was didn't start right at the beginning of 2022. So yeah, 92,000 to 288,000. That's 315% growth, which is, of course, amazing. 288 to 544, while the numbers got a lot bigger, that's only 188% growth. So as I look to set a target for 2025, what is reasonable? Maybe 100% growth. I'd love to be able to do more than 100% growth. Again, that would obviously take me to over 1 million views. And, hopefully the revenue continues to grow, the subscriber base continues to grow. More than that, though, it's just about the experiences and the learnings I've had along the way, and met a lot of great people, had a lot of interesting discussions. I can't believe that this year, I ended up getting to talk to Peter Beck and Adam Spice, CEO and CFO of Rocket Lab, not once, but 3 times. Was really interesting, really amazing. I really didn't expect that to happen when I started this YouTube thing, chatting with CEO and founder of a now $12 billion company. Just me, Dave, random guy, sitting in front of his computer, researching the company. Absolutely amazing. And I got some really great letters, which were probably as meaningful as, any of the numbers on the YouTube algorithms. People telling me about how, say, they got out of debt from their investing in Rocket Lab, or they've really turned things around. Just several, I won't share the actual letters, but several letters that really showed that you do make an impact, and I have made an impact. And yeah, it's really great reading those. So thank you to anyone who sent me a message telling me, how much the channel's helped you out. It's much appreciated. And obviously what this whole YouTube investing thing is all about, us retail investors helping each other out, sharing research and spreading knowledge, because we really do need any edge we can get against the big Wall Street investment firms. Of course, this year wasn't just investing and space stocks and Rocket Lab. I did also get married, a very big life milestone that I'm sure I'll remember for the rest of my life, and was very exciting and a great event. And yeah, just overall an amazing year. Looking forward to 2025. It's going to be an incredibly interesting market. There's going to be a lot of stuff going on with the new administration, NASA, new administrator there as well. A lot of space companies I follow are going to have some interesting times. The stocks have run up quite a lot, so I'm not feeling too greedy right now, but I'm not selling out other than what I need to purchase my new home. So mostly just holding as long as I feel the companies I own are good. I know they will ride that roller coaster of the market cycles where we have, bull markets, bear markets, and overall I will do very well as opposed to trying to time those tops and those bottoms. Although I do like having a little fun option trades on the side. If you've watched some of my previous videos, I've done okay on some of those small options trades, trying to time these things, but those are always much less than 1% of my overall portfolio, and I don't tend to put a ton into them. So that's it for today. Just a quick look back at the portfolio in the channel and what's happened over 2024. It's been an amazing year for me and my family. I hope for you and your family it's been an amazing one as well, and we've been able to grow our portfolios and our wealth together and reach our life goals through investing. Let me know how the year's been for you down in the comments, what thoughts you have about 2025, and I'll see you shortly for some more regular style videos soon. Hope you have a great new year and a great rest of the week. Bye for now.